purpose of this land acknowledgement is to encompass my current knowledge I sought out pertaining to these lands and occupants of these lands, and future considerations for acts of reconciliation. I recognize that there is still much I do not know with regards to who was here before us. Learning is a lifelong process, and I have learned much within my time here at Ambrose University. This being said, I have learned that Ambrose University is situated on the territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, as well as the Treaty 7 territories, which include the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, and Tsuut'ina. Additionally, I have learned that the city of Calgary also goes by the Blackfoot name Mohkinstsis. As a future primary educator, I want to bring my knowledge I sought out here today and my everlasting learning to the realm of education. I wish to connect the importance of storytelling and reflecting back upon our history to see where our next steps are as responsible citizens. I would now like to respectfully acknowledge the land where I grew up, Ghost Lake and surrounding areas such as Morley and Cochrane. Ghost Lake is 45 kilometers west of the city and 15 minutes away from Cochrane. That being said, I would like to acknowledge the rich history of the lands and culture of Ghost Lake's neighbors, Stoney Nakoda people, whose footprints have marked these lands in the past, present, and future of these lands. The Stoney Nakoda nations were the original people of the mountains. More specifically, the Stoney Nakoda Land Reserve 142, 143, and 144 are surrounding the lands of Ghost Lake. I acknowledge the Stoney Nakoda, who consist of Bearspaw, Chiniki, Wesley First Nations. It is important to recognize where our information comes from about our lands we are on. Storytelling is used to teach and connect about cultural beliefs, values, customs, history, relationships, and ways of life, which is very beneficial for educators to incorporate into the curriculum. Some stories passed over generations about Ghost Lake include Indigenous tales such as the one is this. It is said that the ghost of Stoney Chief White Eagle can be seen riding a great steed on the banks of the lake named for him with his faithful white dog at his side. A similar story, where a ghost that prowls the river valley collecting the skulls of the Blackfoot nations felled by Cree warriors in battle, is also where the name derived from. I acknowledge the importance of stories reflected in Indigenous culture and the many perspectives that exist. An Indigenous way of knowing approach to education involves respecting the land we are on and taking in the many different perspectives and ways of knowing about the land that exist from others. When I was younger, I had minimal knowledge on the lands I was surrounded by at Ghost Lake. All I knew was that I was surrounded by beautiful Rocky Mountains, vast forests, and the churning Ghost River, where I spent many of my summer days on the lake. We need to respect the land we are on, including the animals and the lands around us. As a child, there were many landmarks I had no deeper knowledge of that surrounded Ghost Lake. One example being the George McDougall Memorial Church, founded in 1877. In 1873, a settler known as George McDougall came to settle on the outskirts of Ghost Lake, which we now call Morley, alongside the Bow River, where the Stoney Nakoda peoples call home. He played a key role in persuading the First Nations to accept the government treaties, such as Treaty 7. An interesting area of debate encompasses this church. This church burned down in 2017, and now it's on its way for restoration. A controversial issue, as many oppose its restoration. As the Stoney Nakoda Tribal Council states, it is a reminder of painful experiences of the residential schools and churches. On the other side, we see Brenda McQueen, the president of the McDougall Church, who believed that rebuilding the church is an act of reconciliation and an opportunity to share the whole story of the Morleyville settlement. Her vision for the reconstruction of the McDougall Memorial United Church includes the development of an interpretive walk, where members of the Stoney Nakoda First Nations with lived experiences can share their stories in their Indigenous language. I think it's important as educators to recognize and introduce these topics into the classroom. The importance of seeking out information of our past gives us another step towards a fuller understanding of our lands that are occupied today. Continuing to do so is the next step. As a future educator, I think it's very important to continuously seek out new knowledge and share about each other's histories, which can lead us to a fuller developed understanding of existing issues we have today. My goal as an educator is to create an ethical and safe environment in the classroom. It's important to reflect on what we have to do as educators to create an inclusive practice. This could be by deconstructing hidden curriculum in schools, ranging from discussing new literature, looking at Indigenous art, bringing in new perspectives to the classroom, creating relationships with members of the community, and focus on a holistic approach to education where we can focus on the whole individual. This is essential to an Indigenous way of being. With this, I believe we can move forward with a fuller recognition of truth and reconciliation. We are all educators in this world of diverse perspectives.